Trevor Lawrence this past week signed a 5-year, $275 million contract worth $55 million a year. It's the highest quarterback contract in NFL history, if I'm not mistaken. $275 million. What did Burrow sign for? He signed for 255.
I believe it was 255 if I saw the numbers correctly as I pull it up here. Let me see. I believe so. I think it's 255 I'm seeing here because I'm looking at it.
He signed for 5 years, 275, Joe Burrow.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, so Trevor Lawrence, his contract is right there with his.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, like the Cowboys have a quarterback that is up for an extension right now that maybe he gets extended, maybe he doesn't. What effect do you think this has on Dak Prescott's contract?
It just pushes the number up, honestly. And I think that it doesn't have to include the Dallas Cowboys at all. Like, there will be a team that will pay Dak Prescott market value because that's just how the market is in the NFL, right? And so I'm thinking that you're probably looking now at a contract that's probably like 5 years, depending on guarantees, like 280 to 300 plus. And that's not like out of the realm of, possibility, or it's like not crazy, because here's the thing. When you look at the Trevor Lawrence contract, it's, of course, you're signing him like with his rookie contract still going on. But when you look at how it is, like, he's not going to have like a $47 million cap hit until 2028. So for the Cowboys, they can structure the deal where if they were to, and I've been pushing the envelope where you should have signed him last year, because then you had the 2 years of the extension that you could add on the contract. And so the Jaguars and all these other teams are doing that. The Cowboys are like, well, they're prioritizing Dak's contract, but, what are they doing? Like, is prioritizing, like, we're going to wait till the end. And not to go super long with this, but to that final point that I have is, if they don't sign a deal during the preseason, they're not going to do a deal until the end of the season. So that's something to keep in mind.
Well, yeah, and here's the thing, right? I feel like for anybody who doesn't want to sign Dak Prescott to $65 million, if you don't want to, or $60 million, if you don't want to sign him for $60 million, guess what? His price by this time next season, well, off season next year, is probably going to be around $65 million. Like, he's going to have another big year this year. This is going to be an offense that is heavily reliant on its passing attack. CeeDee Lamb's only going to get better. Jake Ferguson's only going to get better. Another year under Mike McCarthy's offense. Hopefully they do a better job with, opening things up for Brandon Cooks and getting him more involved in the offense. Hopefully somebody else steps up in that tight end 2 spot or wide receiver 3 spot. And, there's a very real possibility that Dak Prescott, again, is in the MVP conversation. Again, could be a 2-time All-Pro by the time next offseason rolls around. And you're going to be paying him even more than what you're going to be paying him right now. So, there's going to be sticker shock when if Dak Prescott signs a contract before the start of the season. But ultimately, it's not going to be a bad thing because you need a quarterback. This league has shown you that, look at a team like the San Francisco 49ers, Kyle Shanahan in particular. Kyle Shanahan, to me, this might sound like a hot take, is the best coach in football. But every time he's gotten to the Super Bowl, you look at Atlanta in 2017. Who did he play? Brady and Belichick. Who did he have? Matt Ryan, who was having a really good season, but there was a clear difference in who was the better quarterback. You go to 2020. When they played the Kansas City Chiefs. He had Jimmy Garoppolo. He was going up against Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. 2024, he had Brock Purdy. He was going up against Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. There was a clear advantage in their quarterback, and that's the reason why they lost that football game. So when you have a quarterback like Dak, is it pretty all the time? It's not. There's some games where it's like, all right, this looks a little rough, but I would also push back on people and say, hey, the reason why the team looks rough when Dak's playing bad is because this team goes how Dak goes. They win games because of Dak Prescott. It's not the other way around. I know there was like a narrative that, the defense is going to win this team games. As a matter of fact, I think the defense lost more games than for the team than we originally expected that they were going to. So when you have a player like Dak Prescott who's elevating the team the way he has for the past few seasons here, it's fine to pay him that big money. And if you move off Dak Prescott, who are you going to get to replace him? I mean, I wrote an article on Substack. We'll go over that and go over some of the options that I brought up. But, there's not many great replacements for him to where it's like, all right, this is good for the cap, and we're bringing in a really solid player as well. It's kind of, you kind of have to pick between the two. Hold up. I think you're
yeah, I was muted.
No, you're good.
I think the other thing is that if you let Dak Prescott walk, which again, I'm okay with whatever the team wants to do. The problem is you're going to have a massive cap hit for not only next year, but also the year after that, which handicaps your options of what you can do in terms of like, hey, maybe you want to get a bridge quarterback in free agency, hypothetically, right? And we'll go over those options that you mentioned. It's going to be harder to do that because, the quarterback market is not as cheap as people make it out to be. And then you think, oh, well, what about Trey Lance? And I remember we talked about it on the previous show where it's like, even if Trey Lance shows something and you want him to be the bridge quarterback, you're going to have to pay him like $15 million or around there. That's just how it is. Because you got to be like, okay, this dude's going to be starting for us, and we're paying him on the potential that he can be something. That's the whole thing is you're paying these deals off of the potential you're going to get this type of player for this period of time. That's all you're paying the person for. And then even when you draft, think about it this way. If we expect the Cowboys to win the NFC East again or get back to the playoffs, and let's just say they win a playoff game, and now you're picking like 26 or 27, you're not taking a QB1 there. I don't think that this upcoming draft class really has anybody that I'm really excited about. We'll see. We'll see how progression goes for their collegiate seasons, but